In this video I'm going to revisit a tutorial that I did quite a while ago, and that was all about section making and animating sections in Rhino. And I used a C# script for it that I found on the forums, so I will be doing quite the same thing here. I will be explaining it a little bit more. The script is going to be very similar to that, only that in this video I'm going to show you an alternative way of how you can animate sections with Vray for Rhino as well. That's going to be like in the second part of the video. And in my opinion, that is going to give you a quality boost for your animated sections. So I guess let's begin. The first thing that I want to do is kind of talk about this little node right here that I have. You can see it's red and it's all not happy. That's fine. Right now it's unhappy because we are not feeding any information into it. If I double click on this node, you can see there are basically there are only 3 lines of text here that we can use or that we can copy. I will put these 3 lines of text in the video description so that it's easier for you to copy it. And also the files, if you can't be bothered, the files will be available for my Patreon supporters. So if you're into that kind of stuff, consider supporting me. Anyway, so these 3 lines, besides that, the C# script has 2 inputs and 1 output, right? So let's remake this node from scratch. I will double click on the canvas, on the grasshopper canvas, and I'll just write C#, that's not sharp, that's sharp, C# script node, enter. This guy right here, it's located right here under map. Okay, that was weird. Under math, under script, C# script. Okay, so we have that going, and you can see that our inputs are not as what we see here. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to change the flavor of our inputs. The first one is going to be ID, GUID, Global Unique Identifier, and the second one is going to be plane. So if I right click on the X input and go to type hint, I can choose from here, I can choose GUID. The reason why we use, wait, did I change it for X? I need to change it for X. Type hint GUID. Yes, perfect. The reason why we use GUID is because the clipping plane in Rhino, it doesn't have a way of how we can link it into Grasshopper. It's not a geometry, right? It's something else. So the only way you can link it is through this GUID node, which we will be creating in just a second. So also let me rename this to ID. You just right click on it and you rename it. Okay, same thing for Y. Y needs to be a plane. So right click, type hint, find plane. There we go, there's the plane. Right click on it and type in PL, hit enter. That's it, you're ready to go. There are 2 outputs, the out and A. We don't really care about the outputs because it's going to be moving the clipping plane in our Rhino view, not inside of Grasshopper. So there's not going to be any output whatsoever. So we can just zoom into this and click on the minus sign where you see the A output, like that. Now, visually, these are almost the same, except that if I double click this one is completely empty, right? But if I double click this one has those 3 lines. So I'm just going to take those 3 lines, again, in the video description, copy, okay, double click, and paste them right here. Hit OK, and there we go. It's complaining just like its bigger brother. Let me delete the bigger brother. We'll just see if this treatment works once we reference in the good stuff. Speaking of which, the good stuff is basically GUID and the plane. So I need to create a clipping plane in my Rhino file. Clipping plane. Anywhere, honestly. just somewhere here. Really doesn't matter where you put it. And I will, in Grasshopper, I will reference it in by using GUID node, GUID. Right click, set one GUID. That was weird again. Select the clipping plane, and now you can see it's referenced. The output that you can expect from this node is going to be this number. It's not even a number, it's identifier. This is basically tells it that, you know, any kind of geometry, any kind of object in Rhino has this kind of an identifier. This is just for Grasshopper to know what are we talking about. Okay, so let me link it in. Bam. Happy. It is happy. Now for the plane. So basically I'm linking it in, and now I'm going to describe its new position with a plane. How can we, my phone is ringing. How can we do that? We can do that by, for instance, just creating a rectangle in Rhino. 1,000 by 1,000. So in my case, it's a meter by a meter. Maybe I'm gonna do it bigger. Not that big though. 10 meters by 10 meters rectangle. Referencing it in as a curve. That one curve. And then extracting a plane from it. Not clipping plane, sorry. Planarity. Is planar, I guess? No, just planar. Just write planar, and you'll see this plane with a squiggly line icon right here. It basically asks if the curve is flat, and if it's flat, it will give us a plane. The problem is that the plane is going to be located at one of these corners. There we go. Why are my planes so small? There we go. You can see that the plane is on one of the corners. I kind of want the plane to be in the center. I don't know. Seems like it's nicer if the plane is in the center. So I'm going to reposition the plane. And I can do that by just getting the area centroid. So I'm just creating an area. Oh, I should probably do this. Bifocals. You guys like that. So I'm just getting the area centroid, the point right here, and I'm going to plane origin. I'm going to change the plane, which is the second output from this planar node. I'm going to change the plane, the plane's origin to the new area centroid, like that. So basically it just, wait, hello, what? New origin point, area centroid. Okay, guess I'm tired. So we have a plane right in the middle. Okay, what about it? Well, actually, now I can, for instance, take this plane and plug it in here, into this plane input right here. And as you can see, our rectangle, oh my god, I'm stupid. So our clipping plane actually starts from that plane. It's not the center point of the clipping plane. So this whole part is unnecessary. Go figure. Just that is enough. And now our clipping plane is locked to our rectangle. And also I kind of want to make the rectangle a bit smaller. There we go. Just so that we don't accidentally move the clipping plane. So now, if I rotate and move the rectangle around, you can see that the clipping plane will move with the rectangle, which is good. That means they are connected. Which means that if I move this curve, right? For instance, move the curve in negative y direction, so y negative by 10 meters, 10,000 by 10 meters, like that. I keep missing the nodes. So if I use the moved version instead of the original, like that, go figure, it just moves the clipping plane. So now with this slider, I can move the clipping plane. That's cool, I guess. That's neat and dandy. But what else can we do? Well, for me, I kind of want to have a little bit of a fancier option, or not option, animation, I guess. I want my clipping plane to be right in the middle, right here. And instead of moving, I want to rotate. Rotate object in a plane. Perfect. I guess perfect. Yeah, sure. Let's rotate object. No. Let's rotate the object in 3D rather than around the plane. So instead of moving, we will take the plane as it is. Delete all of those. We'll take the plane as it is, and we will rotate this plane with an angle that's between 0 ... 360 degrees, between 0 and 360 degrees. Just don't forget to right click on the angle input and choose degrees, because by default it's in radians, right? Like that. And you can see that it's rotating in a weird way, right? It is rotating, but it's rotating around a very weird hinge, or how's it called? The axis? Yes, the rotation axis is weird. So we need to change the rotation axis. How do we do that? Well, we will use the plane itself as its own rotation axis. So if I'm not mistaken, if we just take this plane, which is, bam, right here, and we deconstruct it, deconstruct plane, no, that's construct, deconstruct plane, there we go, deconstruct. If we deconstruct this plane, we get the origin, that's perfect for the center of rotation. And we also get X, Y, and Z angles. So let's see which one we actually need. We need the red line, as you can see here. And the red line is always the X vector, right? So we're rotating around the X vector. And lo and behold, now when I rotate it, it bends. Not bends, but you can see what happens, right? So now instead of the original, I'm going to use the rotated version. Bam. Hide all of that good stuff. And let's just investigate. Hell yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Just like that. And that's basically it, right? Now to get the animation out of this, you need to prep the view, right? Let's just see. No, that's no good. A little bit further back. Something like that. That's nice. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Then we change this to Arctic view because we all like Arctic view. Just like that. That's basically it, right? I just right click on this slider, choose to animate, choose my resolution, which is going to be, actually I'm using 1080 by 1920. That's the regular one. For some reason it says bitmap. It uses bitmap still. I have no idea why. Sure, bitmap I guess is fine. I'm going to change this to, or I'm going to change the output folder to export animation 1, whatever. Hit OK. Let's see if actually it works. JPEG. Hopefully JPEG works. And that's it. That's it. We will just hit the OK button and it's going to start doing the render. As you can see, it's going quite fast, much faster than what Vray is going to give us. So I'm going to pause the video right here, and once it's done, I'm going to show you how it looks like. We have a set of images, and you can use any kind of software you want to stitch them into an animation. A free one is called Davinci Resolve. Davinci Resolve, yeah, that's the free one. I personally use Adobe After Effects or Adobe Premiere, but Davinci Resolve is more than enough to do this kind of work of stitching the stuff together, and you'll get the cool animation. Okay, so next, this is step number 1, or not step, but version number 1. Version number 2 of creating these sections, as I mentioned before, is going to be in Vray. So I'm going to clear values here, just so that this doesn't get in the way. Read it. Delete this whole thing altogether. And I'll show you the Vray version. So the Vray version is, if you go to your Vray tab, I have way too many plugins. There we go, Vray tab. This is the guy. And you go under geometry, you can find Vray Clipper. That's the one that we're gonna use. Vray Clipper. And it has a bunch of, it has a bunch of different stuff that you can use. But the one that we want is different inputs that you can use. But the most important one is the geometry input, of course. And as you hover your mouse, you can see all of the explanations and so on how it works. So it works in a very similar way, right? It asks for a geometry input, and we can reuse the same thing that we did here for our little C# script. I'll just reuse it, copy, paste, plug it into my geometry input. Like that. And then here I will just create a curve again. 10,000 enter by 10,000 enter, I don't know. Curve, set one curve, perfect. That should create a clipper for us. Actually, let's check. Apologies. Need some coffee. Okay, let's actually check if it will work. If now I start rendering this, you can see that it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Well, because Grasshopper, Vray for Grasshopper and Vray for Rhino are somewhat disconnected, and they need to be reconnected for it to work. So the way you reconnect it is through Render tab. Here you can find Vray Render, Bam. Like that. And Vray geometry goes into Vray geometry. Bam. Like that. And then if we... I don't think this is gonna work as well. Let's try. Trying to render. Doesn't work. Okay. So you need one more thing, which is under Render tab, Render in Project. And I'm not necessarily sure that this is gonna work, but if you connect the scene to scene here, like that, and use Render in Project, and then hit the Render button, that should work. Yes, then it works. Then it kind of translates the stuff that you did in Grasshopper into your 3D space of Rhino, right? So now it works, which means that now we can just use this rectangle. Too many things now on the screen. Come on. We can do it. There we go. Use this rectangle, and as we move the rectangle, you can see that it cuts, right? Great. That's exactly what we want. So from here on out, it's just animating it, right? So what I want this thing to do is actually, let's be a little bit jazzy about it. So we have this this rectangle, and I think, what if we make it vertical like that, and we put it right in the middle of the courtyard? I know I'm now just messing around with it, but I wanna have, girls just wanna have fun, you know. Girls just wanna have fun. Right click, oh no, sorry, click the render button. Let's just see if this this kind of animation is would be cool, right? Us turning, oh, you can see how it doesn't how it first loads in the Rhino stuff and then loads in the Grasshopper stuff. So that's 23 degrees. Let's do 30 degrees. Yeah, okay. So it's slowly going to 45 degrees. Yeah, so the section is slowly going to be moving counterclockwise. Yes, counterclockwise. Which is kind of boring, right? I think it is. Because if we flip this around like so, I just selected the curve and flipped it. I think that is going to be enough for us to get a pretty nice different render? Question mark? This is me just experimenting with it. Yeah, so that stopped working immediately. How come? It's super weird. Okay, let's see. So now, whoa, why is this doing? Oh, my bad. It needs to now rotate around the y-axis, right? So it needs to rotate around the green axis. So instead of x, we need to plug in the y-axis, like that. And now it's going to rotate. Yeah, now it rotates again perfectly. We look at it again. We press that render button. And now it should, yeah, now it cuts. For some reason, it cuts in a pretty boring way. I hope that this is gonna be a pretty interesting animation, you know, it cutting it radially, but I think we will stick to what we know, we'll stick to cutting it horizontally. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna do that. Okay, so that's our basic setup, right? Nothing more to it, honestly. Like there are things that I would change. For instance, I would probably move it somewhere here. Yeah. I think that would make it a nicer, it would make sure that it's a nicer cut, like that. And also I would change the material, right? So here you can change, use object material, you can toggle this to false, and then for the cut plane you can actually use a material from Rhino. So I'm going to actually create a material here real fast. Let's do emissive, why not? Emissive, pink, glow, perfect, intensity 5, whatever. Here we just reference it in through materials, material from project, like that. Find your emissive material, connect to material, like that. Hit that render button, and let's just see what's gonna happen. Glowing. It is glowing. Could be better, of course, always could be better. But I think it's kind of nice. Shouldn't glow that much though, but we will fix it. So that is the initial. What else can we do actually? Okay, so we can, for instance, specify what kind of objects shouldn't be clipped, right? So let's say I have a table for this model. Just a really quick one. This is the last thing that I'm showing, I promise. Really quick table thing here. It's gonna be, yeah, it's floating. Let's actually take a gander in the right view. Don't float too much. You can float a little bit, but not too much. Like that. And let's create a material for it. I'm just going to duplicate the generic material, like that. And I'm just going to make it all black with a super high reflection and almost completely glossy. So that it's almost not mirror-like, but like car paint-like. Like that, and let's make it bigger actually. Shit. Let's not do that. I said not do that. Oh my god, just let me scale it, please. People are waiting. I'm doing my best to to go as fast as possible. But sometimes Rhino really doesn't want me to go fast. Sometimes Rhino just wants me to take it slow. Okay, I've just locked it so that I don't mess it up. That. Perfect. Let's take a look at it from, I guess, this angle. 228, that's fine. We hit that sweet render button and we see what's happening. Oh yeah, and it's of course cutting the table. Duh, I forgot. So we need to exclude the table. And we can do that by, oh crap, how do we do that? when set to exclude 1, all seen objects will be clipped except for those in the exclusion list. When set to include 0, okay. So here, and this is set to 0. Okay, so we need to set it to 1. This needs to be 1. Because we are going to specify what objects should be excluded. And then for exclusion, when set to exclude 1, well, that's not helping. Okay, let's try Vray geometry, I guess. So we unlock this. We reference it in as a BRep. That one BRep. Bada bing, bada boom. I'll actually just use, I'll just internalize data and delete the file, not the file, but the geometry from Rhino. Then for material, I do have a material for it. It's called generic 3. Wonderful naming. So under materials, material preset, no, material from project. I will find my generic 3, plug that bad boy in, and connect it to exclude. And also don't forget to connect it to Vray geometry, like that, with Shift key so that it renders out and is excluded from the clipping. I have no idea if this is gonna work. I really hope it does. If it doesn't, I'll need to pause the video. It doesn't. I need to pause the video. Never mind, I'm very stupid. That was actually me reading incorrectly the statement for exclusion mode. When set to exclude 1, all seen objects will be clipped except for those in the exclusion list. When set to include 0, the only listed objects will be clipped. Which means that when we set it to 0, wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, I just changed this to 0 and it works now. that's how we teach in this YouTube channel. Just change it to 0, it's gonna work, trust me, bro. Anywho, that's basically it. That's not much more to say. That's how it works, and that's how it's going to show up. Right? So I'm going to start rendering it, and the way you render it in Grasshopper or with Vray and Grasshopper is you use the render Vray camera. No, sorry, Vray timeline. There we go. The timeline option, Vray timeline, where you set up how many frames you want, what's the start frame and the end frame. So I want to match the animation time of what I had in my previous animation in version 1. So that's going to be 300 frames. So I'm just going to write 300, enter, connect there. And that's basically it, right? Fraction goes between 0 and 1, and as the animation progresses through 300 frames, it's going to count between 0 and 1 and you know, small fractions of the number. So at around 150 frames, it's going to say 0.5, right? So what I want to do is I want to multiply it by 360 degrees, right? So when it starts, it's at 0 degrees, and when it ends, it's at 360, because 1 multiplied by 360 is 360, and when it's in the middle of the Vray timeline, it's going to be 150 degrees, right? And I just connect it to the angle instead of just pure 360, like that. Let me actually move these, just like so. I know it's a little bit funky, but it is what it is. And last thing, never forget, timeline connects to timeline, right? So we just have this long wire of timeline connecting to timeline in the render so that it triggers the render. I believe that is it. Now we can't really start the render from here. It's not going to start rendering the scene. We rather need to right click and render animation from here, right? So I'm just going to click on render for a bit just to see how it's gonna, if it's gonna work or not. And it doesn't seem like it's, what the hell? Doesn't seem like it's working, guys. Doesn't seem like it's working at all. What do you mean? Why is it not working? I guess we will need to do a few more tweaks here. Always a pleasure. Always nice. It's doing its thing. It's trying its best, okay? There we go. So it's rendering here, but it's not rendering there. I need to take a closer look. Just a second. Okay, by investigating this further, I found out that we actually need to get most of the stuff into Grasshopper, because there's no way to render out an animation in Rhino, at least to my knowledge. If you know how to, just tell me in the comments, because the regular one, you know, setting it up like so and then going to asset editor and turning on the animation and clicking the render button, doesn't seem to work. So I don't know what's up with that. So we will need to do a few extra steps. That shouldn't be too bad though, because we have most of the stuff already set up. I'll create 3 BReps. 3 BRep components here. 1, 2, 3. 3 BReps. And I will reference into the first one I reference in the building itself, right? That's my initial BRep. I don't know, like the main BRep, I guess. The main building thingy. And let me actually hide the referenced building there, so that there's no confusion. For the second BRep, or actually we will need one more right there. The second BRep is going to be all of the window frames, so I'll select sublayer objects for my frame layer, set multiple BReps, perfect, and then I just hide my frames layer. Then my glass, sublayer objects, set multiple, all of the glass objects are set. And the last one is, well, the remaining crap, right? Furniture and whatnot. That's gonna be the last layer. Set multiple. That's a little bit inconvenient, but definitely nothing too bad. Definitely nothing too bad. Show. Okay. And now all I need to do is just create or make these into Vray geometries. So 4 nodes of Vray geometry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Connect, 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 and connect. And then 4 material nodes from project, because I already have the materials made, right? So I'm just kind of gonna reference them in from the project. You can also create materials in Grasshopper, but no need since we already have them. So the main one had, oh, doorbell. Just a second. Where were we? The material, the main object will get generic 1. These are the frames, right? So the frames are going to be generic 2. Then for the glass, we will use the frosted glass material right here. And for the rest, let's just use generic 1 as well. Okay, so we have these 4 V-Ray geometries, and all I need to do right now is just connect them to the V-Ray geometry input right here. Just don't forget to hold the Shift key when you're doing that. Now I've input the building geometry, which is really heavy, and it's gonna take a little bit of time for it to actually read it and actually understand what the hell is going on. So that's done, and then I plug in the frames. Frames are a little bit more lightweight. It should be faster. Should be, not necessarily will be. Come on. And there we go. Then we have our glass elements right there. And last one is going to be our furniture pieces. So once that is done, we will need to set up our light and our camera, I believe. I'm not sure about the camera. Maybe the camera can be used. Maybe we can use the same camera as the view itself. We'll see. But for the light, I believe we do need to set up the regular or irregular light. Come on. Jesus Christ. This is not the fastest. And I'm now on the edge of either pausing the video. No, I'm not gonna pause the video because it's done. We need to get the settings out, so I'll just right click on the render node and choose show controls. Gives me the controls. So now I can choose the output image. I will just double click, go to my desktop, export animation 2. I already have the folder pre-made, and I'll just call it Vray animation, Vray anim.jpg. That's fine. Quality medium, sure. Sampler, I'll just use the bucket sampler. Mode, non-interactive. We do production. Engine CPU, because my graphics card is very, very weak. Output resolution, we will do 1920, enter, 1080. And then don't press enter, just click anywhere on the screen. Come on. We minimize that, we connect it to our output resolution, and it's complaining, but don't worry. If you right click on it and choose to choose multi-line data, if you turn it off, then it's not gonna complain anymore. You just need to let it know that it's actually 2 lines of data. Now if I were to right click on this and choose to render, not animation, just render, and we wait a little bit. Oh crap, I forgot to remove the render in project. That one we don't need anymore. So now we wait. Okay, it seems that it's calculating, and it takes a while to export, but once it's done, it kind of goes by faster. So this is an exported, not exported, but a purely rendered view from Grasshopper, right? So this is just purely Grasshopper geometry, and I have changed this to interactive mode rather than static mode, or whatever it's called, production mode, just so that I can change this and see if it's gonna react or not. And seems like it does. Seems like it definitely does, which is great. Now I can start messing around with it. I will go to my materials tab. I'll go to emissive, and here I will just change this to maybe not that pink, huh? Maybe a little bit less pink, a little bit brighter, and a little bit stronger. And something like that. Perfect. Okay, and then for the light setup, I will be using And let's just get an HDRI in here, might as well. So I'm gonna use the Chaos Cosmos, which is really convenient to get your HDRIs from. And I'll try to get a studio one. I'm not sure if they have it though. Let's see, HDRIs, studio, they do, nice. They do have the studio one, and these are very simple, but they do the job. Let us find one that is maybe something like that. Will do the trick. Yeah, I think so. Okay, let me download that. Perfect. Import that into my scene. That is done. Close, close. And now if I create come on, a lighting. Oh wait, we can't create a. Oh no, we can. Never mind. Vray light rig dome. There we go. Connect here, like that. Oh, it doesn't like it. It needs to be connected to the light rig, like that. By the way, the camera is red from our angle. I don't remember if I said it already. Light on, that's turned on, visible, texture. Here we need to actually specify the texture of our dome light. And to do that, I can just simply go to my asset editor, go to the textures, and here you can see Studio 001 has been imported. And I can just copy this file name from here. Hello, copy? No? Yes, maybe? Why can't I? Okay, fine. I'll open it like that. It's very stupid that you need to do it this way. Copy, or maybe we can just copy it like so. Let's see if it's smart enough. Create a panel, paste it. It just pastes the folder, but not the file name itself. So at least we get the folder, but we do need the file name. I have no idea why. Will it work like that? Dash, Control V. Yes, it does. Okay, so it's just Control C, Control V. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Add it to the texture, and now it should work. It should read this this particular texture that we got from Chaos Cosmos. We have our intensity here, our rotation here. That's whatever. Let's just see. Let's just see if it's gonna work or not. So it's now gonna export, and it takes always quite a while to export, especially considering that this is like the NURBS geometry that I have here of my building is very dense. I have hidden the ISO curves of this polysurface here, but if I enabled the ISO curves, you would see how dense it actually is, I guess. But we do get a pretty nice HDRI lighting here. I do enjoy how it looks like. The intensity of it could be a little bit lower, just because our section is glowing as well. So I'll change the intensity to 0.9, something like that. Let's just see. Maybe even less, 0.7. Yeah, something like that is much better. And that's about it. I honestly, that's all we need to do. I will stop the render here. I'll do the final settings and call it a day. You will see the animation after it's rendered. So I'll change the sampler, the mode, I will change this to production mode. The quality I'll change to, let's keep it at medium. My computer can't handle faster ones. Is that it? I think that's it. Yep, not much else. Let me group all of this. I'll save the grasshopper file as a desktop. This is gonna be 2 ways to make sections, like that. And then I will save my Rhino file. 2 ways to make sections. And I'll make these files, both of them, available for the Patreon supporters. Just saying. And I guess that's it. I'll have this run by right-clicking the render node and choosing to render animation. And that's about it. You'll see the final result, well, honestly, right now. And I say goodbye.